Good morning everybody, this is xhairymuppetx and we are going to be casting another Diamond League game. On the bottom right side we have NSW, our Protoss player, and on the bottom left side we have oLmA, our Zerg player. Now we did cast a game of oLmA previously. I believe it was actually against NTD, so now he's against NSW, and yeah, that's very interesting. So we've all seen this map before. Fairly wide open ramp for this expansion, not much space to build stuff around here, but they've got a lot of expansions over here and over here, up here. This one's it's not too bad because it's a bit hard for the enemy to actually go up there and attack it. And of course we have this one in the middle, which I would like to see this be a gold, because that's quite an open expansion. It's quite dangerous to take. But there are no gold expansions on this map, which is a pity. Now we've got a pylon up here, so it looks like the Protoss is going to fortify his expansion nice and early, maybe build up forces around here. Now that's going to be very hard to do if the Zerg does go for a fairly early Zergling rush, or some kind of roach rush maybe, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in this game. Overlord's making his slow ass way over to the Protoss base. I don't know why he's aiming for the expansion, but obviously he thought he was going to get shot down if he went into the main, which is fine. What I like to do is get the Overlord up to about this position, or maybe up to about this position, and then in the 10-minute mark you can sort of move them in and just check out the buildings that they've built pretty much whenever you want. So I've got a nice early hatchery from the Zerg player, got a very early Nexus from the Protoss player, and a forge and a pylon coming out, so he's looking to cannon in. And I'm actually quite surprised to see this, because the Protoss player did the scout. He knows the spawning pool came up before the hatchery, so this is extremely risky from the Protoss player. He knows that there's going to be lings coming out. It's not going to be a fast macro from the Zerg player, it is going to be lings. And meanwhile he's pushing out with this. He's got no units, he's only getting his first gateway. Now he is going to have a cannon, but I do not know if this is going to be enough to push off the Zerg player. And it doesn't need to push off the Zerg player, because the lings can just run by and maybe they'll lose 2, and then they're in here, they're like 4 Zerg against a whole crap load of probes, and that is not going to be good for the Protoss player. We'll see what happens there. The Zerg's going to get in just as the cannon comes up. He's going to go around the side, around the back. That's very good. He can attack the Nexus without the cannon being in range, or he can just keep running up there. He's going to take another couple of hits, but there's still 5 lings left, and these probes are in a lot of trouble. They're going to go out and try and attack, but the Zerg is doing a very good job at not getting surrounded. However, he needs to just go in there, attack, and see how many probes he can take out. Although this is good as well. He's not taking out any probes, but they're losing so much mining time there. So I'd like to see him just keep doing that, keep doing what he was just doing, attacking the probes, causing them to stop mining. He doesn't. It would be nice if he could kill them, but he doesn't need to. All he needs to do is disrupt this as long as possible. He does get about 3 or 4 probe kills there, and he stops a lot of the mining a lot of the time. Now we can see his third expansion, excuse me, I'll put it on the production tab, is already finished. So he's going for a really, really heavy macro build after that push with the lings. Protoss is just getting a couple of zealots now. He's got the very funky level 30 zealot skin going on. So that zealot's pretty hardcore. He's going to be defending himself against further ling pushes, but it doesn't look like he's going to have to worry about it, because the Zerg is going for a very heavy macro build. He's currently up to 32, not far ahead of the Protoss, but you can expect with 3 hatcheries now him to really start pushing that harvester count. And there we go, 7 drones all coming up at once. So we'll see how well he can keep this going. Right now it should be pretty good. The Protoss thinks he's pretty sweet because he's got his second expansion at the 7-minute mark and he's already got it fairly well mining. So he's doing very well economically, and the Zerg is just matching and surpassing him in terms of the economy at this stage. So we'll see, the Protoss is going for the mothership core, going to do a little bit of harass with that. The Zerg has one queen there for creep duties, so he should be right. I have actually tested this in a custom game and the mothership core has no chance against a queen. The queen will take it out with about a third of its life to spare, I believe. So that's fine, that should be good. Got a lot coming up for the Zerg player. He's doing quite a nice bit of defense on his third base. That's it's going to be good, but the Protoss can just come around here and come in from the side, or just go straight to the natural expansion. So I don't think this is going to do too much in terms of protecting these workers, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Zergling speed nearly finished. We've got a Hydra den coming down. We do not have a Roach den. I don't think we have a Roach den. No, it's 2 Evo chambers. So looks like you may be going Ling Hydra and perhaps into Ultralisk. I believe this is what he tried the previous game. I can't remember 100%, but I do remember something about Hydras and Lings and perhaps Ultralisk. But well, we'll see how it goes. Due to my abysmal memory, I can't remember if he won the last game, but we'll certainly find out if he wins this game. So that's he doesn't realise he's not quite safe up there, so that's, he's going to survive and he's going to be able to run, and I don't think the Stalker will be able to catch him, so that's alright. And his health gets regenerated upon popping out of the cocoon, so that's good. Come on. There we go, he's gone out of there. Protoss does have he's had some sort of force. The Zerg is producing 24 Zerglings, so I don't think these guys are really going to do anything, especially if they run in here and start getting taken out. We also have some Hydras on the field, so Protoss has a bit of force, and I think the Zerg can quite easily defend against this attack. There are a lot more Stalkers coming across, but actually, yeah, there's not that many Zerglings, and the Zealots are going to whittle them down, and Hydras, fairly good against Stalkers, but there are a lot of Stalkers here, and they are going to do a lot of damage to those Hydras, so I'd say the Protoss might win this. Yeah, looks like he is. Looks like he's going to. There was some good micro with the Stalkers there. He doesn't have Blink, but he did manually pull them back. And we can see, what has he got here? He's got 4 Shies, and that's 9 Warp Gates at the moment. 9 Warp Gates from our Protoss player. So in the next 2 or 3 minutes, he is going to have a stupendous amount of army. However, the Zerg is not slouching off. He's continuously building a large amount of units. He's got a bunch of Hydras up and a crapload of Lings. So against the Stalker army, Lings are very good. He's going for the flank here. Going to press them in between the Spine Crawlers and the Lings, and that's a very good choice. There are a lot of Zealots though, so the Lings really need to get hits off on the Stalkers, and they did quite a bit. And eventually the Hydras and the Lings wore down the Zealots, so the Zerg is able to push that army away, and that was a really good flank there. And he's got really good creep spread as well. That's actually phenomenal creep spread for the 12-minute mark, and that helped a lot. So he's got a bunch of Lings, he's got Hydras. Hydras have 1-1. He's not working on the melee attack, but the ranged attacks are going quite well. If we have a look at the Protoss units, they're at 1 attack and 1 armor is nearly done. So Zerg choosing not to push ahead here. He's going to pick up a 3 pylon kill though, so that's always good. Looks like the Protoss is going for his 3rd base. Meanwhile, the Zerg has gotten his 4th base. I think in preparation for these guys finishing off mining. He does look like he could do with a little bit more drones. Where's the income tab? 62 though is still a fairly decent number. I mean, if he did go far beyond 62, then I wouldn't say he's doing a bad job. I'd say he's very good at the income level, and these Protoss is also very good at the income level. 58 harvesters, very nice for a Protoss player. And here we go, trying to trap those Hydras, but didn't quite work. Hydras managed to get away. There's 4. They're not retreating. They're getting reinforcements from Lings. And yeah, so the Lings are going to go straight past and they're going to attack this Nexus. And they should be able to force the cancel and then get out of there before taking too much damage. There we go. I believe that was a cancel there, but I'm not sure. Maybe it was actually taken out. The Lings are going to have a go. Hydra's coming up from behind. I think the Protoss might hold this if he just goes in and attacks those Hydras. So it's looking very balanced so far. The Protoss holding off all of the Zerg attacks. The Zerg whittling down the Protoss forces time after time. The Protoss does have this massive amount of production facilities. I believe it was 9 warp gates last we looked, but he is getting very low on the mineral income, so he needs to get this third up. He needs to get it mining so he can continue to produce out of all 9 of those gateways. We've got some very good force fields there, but the Lings are so fast they just run around to the other side, so they still do quite a bit of damage. Maybe not as much as they could have, but we'll have to see. And with the Zerg getting his 4th base, I think the Protoss is going to be in quite a bit of trouble until he manages to secure this 3rd base. A few Overseers coming over here now. They're going to get destroyed, or at least that one is. These 3, got to call them off. There we go. Now we have some Locusts coming up here, so it looks like he's going for Swarm Hosts. He's pushing out to defend the entire middle of the base. I'm not sure about this. It's definitely the Protoss is going to have a hard time pushing through this. It seems like an awful lot of minerals he's using to create all these spine crawlers, and I don't know if this is really the best use of spine crawlers. I'd much prefer to see them perhaps placed around this 5th base, because it's this one is going to be a target as soon as the Protoss knows about it, but perhaps he's gearing up to get an expansion here as well, in which case this might be okay. He's still got this path up there, but he has got the watchtower there, so he can see that within plenty of time. He doesn't have this watchtower though, which is a little bit of an oversight. He doesn't totally need it, but I mean, for the cost of 1 Ling, you might as well get it. And those Swarm Hosts, I mean, he must have the upgrade that makes them last faster, because those guys are they're just going for the big haul. They're just going so far. And it looks like he's trying to bait the Protoss out here with these Swarm Hosts, and meanwhile run the Lings back around here and take these guys out. He looks like he's sacrificing some Overlords to try and get a scout off on the army. As soon as he sees these Swarm Hosts get attacked by this Protoss army, I expect him to run these Lings in there and take him out. But the Protoss is not going to be fooled. He's going to get in there, and he's going to be right next to the base when he needs to be. However, he's not moving in now. Probes are dying, and he's moving his army down. So I thought he knew what was going on, but when the probes started getting wiped out, his attention was elsewhere. So that was a beautiful attack by the Zerg player. Really whittled down those probe forces. He's getting more over there, but he's still got a fairly decent harvester count, but he needs to get them over there. He needs to get them working. Look at all these probes just not doing anything. He needs to move them over to his 3rd base, and he needs to make sure that he gets his mineral income back up. And looks like these guys are just a distraction, just keeping the Protoss occupied while he continues to take more expansions and continues to build up his forces. He's got some Vipers now, good old Viper. I'm expecting these guys to be yanking the Colossus all over the place. There we go, that Colossus is going to get taken down by spine crawlers. So he's going to shift the Colossus back. Now's a perfect time for the Hydras to start moving in and taking those forces out. There we go. So that was a beautiful move. He forced the Colossus to move back, and meanwhile the Hydras just went in there and started wiping out the rest of the ground forces. So, brilliant play by the Zerg player so far. He's got a whole lot of new units mixing in there and doing good work. The Protoss is going for a more standard ground Colossus force. He's not having too much luck with it so far. He was very heavy on the army in the early game. He's starting to have some economy problems right now, and he's finding himself pretty much cut off by the Zerg player, not able to really go out there and hit the Zerg bases at the moment. So he needs to do something. It's a bit risky if he tries to take the top approach, which he looks like he might be doing, but he can't really sneak past the Zerg defenses because he's got so many creep all over the place. So the Zerg knows exactly what he's doing. Those Zergling attackers going to get cleaned up. The Colossus coming in here. Hydra's backing out. We've got the Vipers coming in, and these Colossus are not going to have a nice day when the Vipers start dragging them in. There we go, they get taken out. He's actually got quite a lot of spore crawlers here as well, so the Colossus get anywhere near that clump, they just get taken out so fast it's not even funny. The Zerg decides it's a good time to push in. It's going to try and take out that Colossus, and then the Hydras should be able to take out the rest, but this is looking very scary actually. He's been able to build up quite a lot of forces, and that ground army I think could be able to take those Hydras. They've got 3 weapons. The Hydras do have 3-3 though, and there's Colossus. 2 Colossus there, absolutely annihilating those Hydras. The Vipers could have pulled them in, but I don't think they had enough ground forces to take out the Colossus, and it looks like this army is going to get just completely taken out. The Vipers managed to escape, but it looks like the Protoss is back in a slightly more commanding position. Still not in the lead, I don't believe. I mean, if we look at the Zerg army, he's very well encamped here. He's 185 over 180, sorry. And so he's still ahead of the Protoss player, but the Protoss player is building up his army, and he's not moving in to get his Colossus sniped. So I think he's doing pretty well. He's still getting bogged down by those bloody swarm hosts though, by those locusts. He's so determined to push in here that he doesn't see the Hydras, but the Hydras need to wake up because they're taking down an assimilator at the moment, and they really could be taking down something better. Looks like that Colossus barely made it out after being dragged in by the Viper, I assume. A couple of Ultras out here. You're going to be doing some fairly good damage. The Ultras come in, and these forces are just going to be annihilated at this point because Stalkers and Colossus are just not that good against Ultras. Stalkers do have bonus damage to armored, but the Ultras just have so much health. It's just a complete waste of time, and the Protoss needs to start getting some Immortals out, and that's what he's doing. So he should have the 5 or 6 Zealots on one Ultra. Looks like they are going to win, but it just looks so funny. Zealots trying to take out a Ultralisk. And here we have this base going down. The Protoss didn't do anything to do it. He should have moved his army back here and tried to defend this, but he didn't. And I think this is the end of the game for the Protoss player. The loss of that expansion is just not going to have enough to hold this off. These constant Hydra incursions, you cannot take out all those Hydras with an Immortal, so please don't try. And we've even got a Templar Archives coming up here for the Protoss player, so he's getting quite desperate at the moment as to what he can do to possibly offset this situation. We have a look at the units. He's got 2 Immortals, and meanwhile the Zerg has units coming out of his ass at the moment. So yes, I would expect to see this game conclude in a matter of minutes. We'll just have to see what happens. The Zerg kind of sitting back at the moment. I guess he's just getting a couple of things up, getting this final hatchery up, maybe waiting to transition workers over to there, and then he'll probably start to push in with his massive army. Look at that, 200 out of 200 as opposed to 71. So the Protoss is completely finished at this point. So we're just waiting for the GG at this point. Let's go have a look at the upgrades again. I believe these Hydras were 3-3. Vipers haven't got any upgrades, but that's probably fine. Where's an Immortal? Where's an Immortal? He's got 3 there, 2 armor, so that's not bad for upgrades. He's got a couple of Archons out as well, which is not a bad choice because I believe he had a huge amount of gas compared to low minerals. And he's building 4 more Archons. Or those the Archons building up there, were they currently building? I think that must have been it. So it's got the Archons, and that's not going to be bad because Immortals and Archons are going to do a very good job against the Hydra Ultralisk combo. Unfortunately, he just doesn't have the minerals to produce a large enough army to provide any sort of a threat to the Zerg player. The Zerg is just going to run in with his massive army and just completely overwhelm these forces. I don't know what those fighters are doing back there. There was a Warp Prism before, and the Warp Prism is dead, so there was probably some sort of action. He's just going to go in here, just go in for a last hurrah and just say I'm going to fight to the end. But this is the end. The Protoss was defeated, so congratulations oLmA for a very good job. A job well done. Really good at stopping the Protoss from getting his 3rd expansion up for any long amount of time, and that's really what brought the Protoss down, is that not getting the 3rd base up and running. So congratulations oLmA, very well played, and this has been HairyMuppet. Thank you for watching.